republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. President, if I may,
Yes.
pursuant to the provisions of Chapter 231 of the laws of 1976, please submit and notify the public of the notice of date, time, location, and agenda of this meeting to the extent known, as provided at least 48 hours prior to the commencement of this meeting in the following manner. I posted such notice on public announcement board by mailing such notice to the Osgood Park Press and Tri-Town News, by filing such notice to the board secretary, and by mailing such notice to all individuals who request to be paid for a copy of same. Is that correct, Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Yes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Fink? Ada Gonzalez? Here. Mayor Grunhut?
Yes.
Irene Micchio? Here. Abe Ostreicher?
Present.
Mr. Seitler? Mr. Silver? Mr. Thomas? Mr. Slacken?
Here.
We have a quorum, Mr. President. I say Mr. President. As the Vice President, you would serve as President this evening. For the public's benefit, we do have one board member, unfortunately, due to medical issues with his wife, cannot be here this evening. We have several other board members who are out of town. We do have another meeting scheduled for, if I think I can be corrected, for December 20th, and that would be at 8 o'clock again here, correct? Here?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. President, we have been advised that a certain member making the quorum needs to leave for PTA, so you we may want to handle business before he leaves, because then we will have a quorum.
Yes.
So we need a motion to go out of turn.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. President, there is a short agenda, which I see the audience, I hope you have that agenda. That's good. There are, if I can have the agenda, sorry. There's item A. This, and I can be corrected by the administration. There was a need at Clifton Avenue. Apparently the library, I can never say this word, I can spell it asbestos. I'm sure it's, I can't say it. Asbestos. Thank you, James. Asbestos. Asbestos. There's a problem at the Clifton Avenue School. They wanted, from what I've been told, they want to do the work during the upcoming holiday break. We did go out, from what I see here, quotes, and there is a recommendation here to use MTM Metro Corporation in the amount of $12,250. As far as the superintendent items, you see them there. I'd like to direct you respectfully to page 2. We do have in the audience Matthew Varley. Matthew Varley is there. Matthew, in the suit and tie, currently serves as the treasurer for Toms River Schools and is the BA for Seaside Park, Seaside Heights. Mr. Varley's resume, I was told by our computer man, is up on the screen on the on the district's website. If it's not, please contact Deb McCord tomorrow at 905-3636. But he comes on the high recommendations of the county office, as well as currently being a BA in Seaside Heights, as well as a treasurer. As it says here, he will go through February 28, 2011. Questions might be asked why only until then, or why until then. He is also a CPA, and he has a private business. So he can only be here at this point till then. It's listed as $600 per hour. Per day. Per hour. That's me, I know it's not. Per day, plus, James, come on, plus $75 for special meetings or additional purposes. Yes. And there you have the other, there's minimal items tonight. The reason we had this meeting for the public's benefit is we had to get that approval both for the interim BA as well as for Clifton Avenue. There are several other items on there. Mr. President, we will entertain any motions you'd like.
Yes, 1 second. Lisa has one more amendment on the application.
Yes, Mr. President, I have 2 addendums. First one is approval to apply to the state of New Jersey, Chapter 192, for additional funding in the amount of $329,224 for the lease of non-public instructional trailers and vans. Item number 2 is the approval to apply for additional funding to the State of New Jersey, Chapter 192, non-public services for the removal of 5 trailers at a rate of $12,000 each for a total of $60,000. No local funds are to be used for trailer removal.
Okay.
Mr. President?
Yes.
Your
Make a
call.
motion to approve.
That would be the agenda as amended, sir.
Correct.
Second.
Second by Ms. Ada Gonzalez. We're now in second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ms. Gonzalez?
Yes.
Mr. Grunhat?
Yes.
Ms. Vecchio?
Yes.
Mr. Ostriker?
Yes.
And Mr. Zlotkin?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. President. And 4, that passes. Okay? With your permission, Mr. President, we can go back to the regular agenda. Again, we are hoping Mr. Seidler may come. He does have some child care issues, which many of us can relate to, and Mr. Zlotkin needs to leave for PTA, but until he leaves, we can continue. Okay? Are there any presentations at this meeting? It says none. Are there any minutes at this meeting? It says none. Recognition of the public?
You have the names?
I do. Would you like me to read those?
Correct, yes.
Okay, Mr. Seidler has now arrived at 8:20. Mr. Zlotkin is now leaving at 8:20, which now allows, at the same school, which allows us to continue to have a quorum for the benefit of the public. Ernest Orjanada is here. You could just state your address, please.
Yes, Ernesto Ordenana, 417 Sidham Beach Avenue, Lakewood, New Jersey. New Jersey Organization. I'm here to address the use of the school facilities. Okay, reading and Lakewood Community School charges and priorities for use of school facilities. This procedure is established to implement the Board of Education policy governing use of the school facilities. The following categories are established to determine priorities and a schedule and fees for the approved use listed below, other than regular curriculum programs or activities. I have right here this Category 1, student groups. Category 2, community groups affiliated with the schools. And Category 3, community nonprofits, which that's my category. And come to find out that their schools are being used by groups that are not, they're not nonprofit organizations, and that's what you're supposed to have that. And actually, there's a 4th category, which is a private nonprofit group. And I addressed that to superintendent. And because, I'm being denied, well, I was revoked on the permits, and I did not get those permits because of different groups that are not a nonprofit organization.
I'd like to,
Is that your question, sir?
I'd like to stand to respond.
Mr. President, I'd like to just state, since Ernesto has been here, Mr. Ordana has been here, Lisa Miller did review this matter, and she did find a letter that Mr. Anderson wrote before his retirement that the license of this organization should be permanently revoked. There is a letter to that effect, which Mr. Anderson authored. Lisa was just whispering to me, but I didn't quite hear the entire whisper. But apparently, Ms. Silva, you can answer this, but apparently, and Mr. Ernadotto, maybe you could answer with the board president's permission. You were allowed, despite Mr. Anderson's letter, to permanently revoke, which it's there. You were allowed to use one of the grade schools, but wanted the high school instead. Is that somewhat correct?
I want to get the same schools that I had before, which is Oak. And actually, there is an availability of a group that is booked. The same 2 schools.
No, I'm asking about you. I don't want to hear
Okay.
you. Again, I'm just trying to help you.
Yes.
Were you offered, despite Mr. Anderson's letter, to permanently revoke your license? Were you offered space recently at an elementary school?
Yes.
And what school was that at?
Spruce.
Okay, and I'm just making sure because I have You don't want spruce, you want oak?
Correct.
You just want oak?
Correct.
Not anything else?
Well, if anything is available, it's fine.
Okay. Why do you want oak as opposed to spruce, despite Mr. Anderson saying your license should be permanently revoked for all schools?
Okay, without going into a lot of details, that school has a lot of decorations.
Decorations?
Right, for the kids, and we play soccer, so it's gonna get ripped, and it's gonna, I don't
In
want...
the gym, you're saying?
Yes,
That's at spruce.
correct,
And you want oak.
correct.
Did you apply for oak or spruce?
Oak,
And you got spruce.
correct.
And you alluded to something